Is God green? That's the subject for tonight's Theology Pub. I think it's a very relevant subject, especially here in Fort Collins. It's considered a green city. The CSU campus is considered a green campus. And so we want to ask the issue from a Christian worldview. How should we as Christians view this subject of environmentalism? Is it a moral issue? Is it right or wrong to recycle? How should we as Christians treat the planet? And I think it does come down to the issue of worship or stewardship. And there are some people that take it to the extreme and they end up worshiping creation instead of creator. And they take the issue of environmentalism to a position of worship. And I don't see it as a worship issue. We shouldn't be worshiping the planet. We should be stewarding the planet. And so we need to be taking what God has given us and gifted to us and being good stewards of that. We've been given dominion over the earth, and we are to be stewards of the earth. And so it ought to be an interesting conversation. I'm looking forward to it and to see how people respond and react to this issue, because it is quite an emotional subject.
As I meant, when we were defining environmentalism, a big part of that is the human aspect of those ecosystems and the human health aspect of that. And human health is strongly tied to the ecosystems we exist in and how we utilize the resources. And going back to the agriculture issue, that's hugely tied into human health.
I mean, I definitely think that land stewardship is a really important part of your religious practices, land stewardship. And I think that the Christian values really relate back to taking care of your kin and future generations. And I think a big part of the environmental movement is similar to thinking as far as the 7th generation from now, and trying to preserve and protect.
But in Fort Collins, there's lots of Christians excited about the environment and social justice, but hardly any on issues like human rights and these other things that are much more clearly in the gospel over and over and over. It's impossible to get people interested in all of the human abuse that goes on across the world. People trying to stop sex trafficking and we don't care, but yeah, save the pandas.
Man. Let's see here. I mean, he obviously created the earth, so I think he wants to see us treat it with some type of respect, but at the same time, he's going to let us do what we do. We're his creation, so whether we do right or not he's not going to interfere with that, probably. I'm sure he'd like to see it be taken care of.
Nature is just part of his work, and we're part of that. And we have to be careful not to make too much importance for the wrong reasons and the wrong things. That's
definitely the least amount. The least sensitive to the environment. The majority of people of hardcore Christian belief, I would say, that I've met, which are all those people that are stuck in their ways, I would say are the ones that would say global warming isn't even real. They say, who cares about the environment? They're the ones that say, when I ask them, well, do you care about your next person's generation? I don't care, I'm just doing what I'm doing right now.
And that just goes back to humanity getting away from God's original intention. God designed the earth, created the earth to work in harmony and work in these self-sustaining ecosystems. And humanity has come into the picture with technology and our grand ideas of how to harness these chemicals and apply them in rates and concentrations that would never ever be seen in the natural ecosystems. And we're beginning to destroy those ecosystems and poison them. And we're poisoning ourselves in turn because we exist in those ecosystems.
Do you see environmentalism as a moral issue?
Yes, to some extent. It's definitely very personal for a lot of people. Some people, it's just your morals that don't need to make you an environmentalist, but your morals kind of dictate if you care about the earth to some extent. Same thing if you care about your family, your morals dictate that.
Right, so if somebody doesn't recycle or throws their crap out the window as they're driving down the road, and you say that's wrong for them to do that, is that then a moral
That
issue?
would dictate what their morals are to some extent. It's your base, your baseline for what you believe is right and correct.
So we should go back to pre-industrialized era?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that we should get to a point where we're sustainable in the way that we live our lives.
I believe burning coal in Britain was worse than what we're doing now. The West has better environmental standards than China, India, and the developing countries.
I'm not comparing our standards to theirs. I'm saying that in general, the way that we're sustaining our 6 billion people on Earth is not sustainable.
That much, but
Do you think
I know enough.
environmentalism is, at its premise, a moral issue?
In a sense, yeah. I can see that.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Because you're basically attaching value to whether this is right or wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like if your neighbor doesn't recycle, that pisses you off, and they're throwing all their soda and beer cans in the garbage, you're saying they're wrong and I'm right.
Or like people who don't take the extra step to like pick up trash off the street,
Right.
or
throw
just
it out
don't
of
like
their
take
car.
that extra step at all.
Right.
That has everything to do with like you can call yourself an environmentalist and say that you care, but if you don't take that extra step to actually like prove that and live by that, then you're just a hypocrite pretty much.
Well, I mean, something very simple like mosquito nets is saving millions of people, you know, that they don't have the money to buy them, and people are, you know, groups are coming in and giving them hundreds of mosquito nets, and it's something simple like that, you know, rather than the chemical that can save a lot of lives, you know. I mean, it's not...
Using the chemical would save all the lives.
Like, so what you're saying,
That's why
the
we don't
chemical's
have
not the
mosquito
The
malaria
chemicals
here.
have...
Let me ask it to you this way. Do you think that environmentalists borrow from Christian principles and the Christian worldview to hold their worldview?
I can see that to some extent, yeah. I mean, it's, I mean, they like to treat things all as they want to be treated, I guess, in a way.
The UN's now trying to ban developing countries from building any more fossil fuel power plants. It's like, how unfair is that? We already built all ours, we keep running them, and now we want to deny people with much less than us the right to the same stuff we have. Sure, I understand building another coal power plant will cause more environmental trouble, but are we shutting ours down? Of course not.
And so if now we're placing right or wrong values upon environmentalism, then we have to come to a standard of morality, and who sets that standard? And that's kind of the point that we want to get to, because we really believe environmentalism is consistent with the Christian worldview, but in order to have that perspective, you have to believe in a moral standard holder. You can't just say, well, everything came about by random chance, and yet you need to adhere to this standard of right and wrong. Well, who holds the standard? So that's kind of the point that we're getting to. What do you